Come on. I need to go back here. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mary Sloan, and welcome to another episode of Inspirational Influencer News, People Making a Difference. And this afternoon, my guest, David Medansky, is certainly one of those people who is making a huge difference, especially to those of us guilty who tend to put on pounds or enjoy food maybe just a little too much, or, you know, the good life, it's pretty easy to just kind of have a good time and pack on a few pounds. Well, David's here to tell us how we can change that without doing all the stupid things that lots of the diet industry tells us to do. So he practiced law for 13 years and retired in 2005. He's an international award-winning best-selling author of Discover Your Thinner Self. If not, now when? And Break the Chains of Dieting, and many more. At age 61, David was obese and told by his doctor that he had a 95% chance for a fatal heart attack. David's doctor told him, in fact, to find a new doctor because he did not want anyone dying on his watch. That's a wake-up call. And it was a wake-up call. David suddenly thought, oh, that's interesting, and realized that perhaps he wasn't taking this weight thing, you know, with enough seriousness. So he, now realizing the severity of the condition, decided to find a way to lose the weight and keep it off. During the next 4 months, David was able to shed 50 pounds, which was 25% of his total body weight. Since then, he's learned 9 habits of how to be healthy and active. David spent his legal career seeing both sides of the fence, honest people and dishonest people. And during his weight loss journey, he realized that when it comes to the food and weight loss industries, sadly, there are more dishonest people than there are those telling the truth. That's what makes losing weight so difficult. Does this surprise anybody? I can't wait to hear the story. So David learned how to reduce weight without going on a diet, counting calories, or exercising, and is on a mission to share his message with the world. So David, we're all ears. What is it you can tell us that'll allow us to shed those extra pounds without the idiocies of the diet industry?
Well, the first thing to remember is that a diet is temporary, extreme, hard to stick with, and a lot of them are potentially dangerous. So if the diets that are out there worked and the weight loss programs work, those companies would be out of business within a few years and we'd all be thinner and healthier. So what I learned is that we all know what to do, we just don't do it. And when it comes to weight loss, we procrastinate. I was one of those people. My doctor had been after me for 8 years to lose weight. And it was finally when he told me that I had the 95% chance for the fatal heart attack that the light bulb went off and I realized I had to do something. First thing you need to understand is there's a direct correlation between not drinking enough water and being overweight. The reason I say that is in the US, 75% of the population is chronically dehydrated. And in the US, 72% of the adult population is overweight, of which 42% is clinically obese. Our bodies are 60 to 70% water, not soda, not diet soda, not fruit juices and fruit flavored beverages. And also what happens is sometimes we think we're hungry, we're actually thirsty. So we need to drink more water. And that'll keep our bodies hydrated and keep us feeling fuller longer.
You know, that's a good tip. I just want to stop there because that's a really good tip. As somebody who does feel hungry from time to time, it's getting better and I'm working on it. But to remember to go drink a glass of water, not grab something to eat, because, you know, we think we're hungry, but our body's telling us it needs something, but it's not necessarily food.
Exactly, we're actually thirsty. The other thing is people always ask, well, how much water should I drink? The general rule of thumb is a minimum of 64 ounces. However, it should be 1/2 of your total body weight. So for example, if you weigh 200 pounds, you should drink 100 ounces of water Or if you're a professional athlete or exercising strenuously or doing a lot of physical activity, you need to drink more water.
Wow, that's a lot of water.
Yeah,
I
and
mean,
then
I thought I was doing pretty good. I guess I better up the water.
there you go. And then the other thing is it should be pure water. And what I mean by pure water is either distilled water, spring water, or water from reverse osmosis that has the 6-stage filtering process. And the reason I say the different types of pure water, if you ask one expert, they'll tell you one thing. For example, Paul and Patricia Bragg advocate drinking distilled water. Jack LaLanne, who was a student of Paul Bragg's, advocates drinking spring water. And Dr. David Friedman, who wrote the book Food Sanity, advocates drinking reverse osmosis water. So depending on which expert you ask, you get 3 different opinions. So the way I look at it is drink the water that you like the best and which you can afford.
That's good advice, because there's an awful lot of difference out there, and an awful lot of expense difference for sure.
Yeah, and I would also recommend avoiding tap water, at least in the US. Every municipal water source has toxics that are, bad for you. They have a certain level that are acceptable. The difference being, if my neighbor is only drinking 2 or 3 glasses of water, it won't be harmful to him. If I'm drinking 10 glasses of water a day, then that all of a sudden becomes more toxic and more harmful for me. And also be careful of brand name waters like Aquafina and Dasante. Those are products of Coca-Cola and PepsiCo. And it's basically tap water that they put through a filtering system. Also, municipal tap water is more highly regulated than bottled water industry.
Oh, that's charming. Oh, that's really charming. Okay, have you got any more good news for us?
Well, the other thing is our food supply has been supersized, our portions. In the 1900s, the average size dinner plate was 9 inches in diameter. Today, it's 12 inches, at least in the US. And at restaurants, it's 13 to 15 inches for a serving platter. Yet in Europe, a dinner size plate is still 9 inches. So we're eating more food without realizing it. And one thing you can do is use a salad plate for your portions as opposed to a dinner size plate. And they did some studies, and what they realized is if you put the exact same amount of food on a salad plate as on a dinner size plate, you'll look like you're getting more food on the salad plate and a lot less food on the dinner plate. So people have a tendency to overconsume because they feel they're getting less food when actually they're not.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? That trick the eyes and you trick the stomach. An optical illusion that works. That's cool.
Exactly. Yeah, it's called the Delboe illusion. And he was a person in the 1800s that put 2 circles together. They were identical circles, and in one he put a larger outer ring. And when he did that, he noticed that the one with the larger outer ring, the inner circle, looked smaller than the other circle that was the exact same size.
Yeah, interesting. Interesting. So what other hot tips have you got for us? I'm writing these down. Well, actually, I'm glad this is being recorded because then I can go back to it.
Well, the other thing is we tend to eat fast. We're all busy and our schedules are hectic. So one thing you need to do is slow down our eating. Mark David wrote a book called The Slow Down Diet. And in there, he said, if you take 5 minutes for breakfast, give yourself 10 or 15 minutes. If you need to eat lunch or dinner, give yourself at least 30 minutes. And what happens is we'll eat our food while we're working at our desk or on the computer or watching TV. And before we realize that the sandwich that we're eating is gone, or the bag of chips or cookies that maybe people are watching, eating while watching TV, all of a sudden it's gone. It's like, well, where did it go? Who took it? And you've actually consumed it without realizing it. So I tell people to, just focus on the food. Take the time to eat your food and not be distracted, and avoid going through the drive-through. That's one of the biggest things that causes weight gain is convenience. It's easier to go through the drive-through. It's easier to order the pizza, pick up the bucket of fried chicken, buy the frozen meal and throw it in the microwave. None of this is healthy foods for you. We need to take time and buy the whole foods, the good ingredients, and then take the time to actually prepare the meal and cook it.
And it tastes really good. I mean, I actually love cooking. And, I've learned to cook simply. Back in the day, I used to prepare all these amazing meals, but they took hours. So now I'm on the convenience or the speed thing, but still, right from scratch, because that's where I don't end up with stuff I don't want in my food.
Exactly. And you have to be careful of the food manufacturers labeling on products. They pay psychologists and marketing experts millions and millions of dollars to manipulate us to buying their products. For example, fat-free products. People think, oh, it must be healthy because it's fat-free. However, what they don't tell you is it's loaded with this sugar, and then the sugar causes your body to produce the fat. And the other thing is a lot of fat-free products have what they call olein in it. And olein started out as olestra. And olestra was a drug that was used to reduce cholesterol. So the manufacturers for food realized that they can use the olestra to make products fat-free and promote it as healthier for you. However, there were a lot of negative side effects with olestra, and olestra had to have a warning on the food packaging. And because of that, Procter & Gamble, who created it, decided they weren't making enough sales. So they persuaded the FDA to approve olein or olestra. But at that point, the damage was done as far as the reputation. So they changed the name of it to olein. And olein is banned actually in Europe, Canada, and China. Yet in the US, it's still legal. Same thing with aspartame. You won't find it in Europe, Canada, or China, but it's still available for diet sodas here in the US and diet foods that have no sugar. So again, you have to be careful what the ingredients are. One thing I teach people is how to read a nutritional fact panel. And most of us read it wrong. We look at the calories, we look at the proteins, the sugars, the carbohydrates, the sodium. Very few people read the fine print at the bottom, which is the ingredients, which is the most important thing. So I always tell people, look at what's in the ingredients. And if you're unable to pronounce it, it's probably unhealthy for you because it's a chemical.
Yeah, it's those, what the heck is this thing? I can get that for sure.
Yeah. In the 1970s, there was a commercial by Chiffon Margarine with Mother Nature. Dina Dietrich played the role as Mother Nature. Her line was, "It's not nice to fool Mother Nature." And I tell people, perhaps we should heed the warning, because today there's so many food, I call them edible products, that are made by food manufacturers in a lab as opposed to from Mother Nature. One example is the imitation meats, the Beyond Burger or Impossible Burger. It's plant-based, and people think, oh, it's plant-based, must be healthy for me. No, again, if you look at the ingredients and how they're processed, it has a lot of chemicals that are unhealthy for you and are actually toxic to the body.
Oh, I mean, when somebody came out with that, and I just looked at it and went, oh my,
Yeah.
because it is so processed. I mean, it is processed up the yin yang. Any relationship to a natural, what is it, pea or something that's supposed to be in there? Good friggin' luck with that. It's just gone,
Yeah, you're better off just eating, grass-fed beef or a real chicken. Although they showed a picture on a social media post of the chickens that the size they were in the 1950s, the 1970s, the 1990s, and today. And the chickens are actually about 3 times the size of what they were back in the 1950s. That's because they're being, fed different. Yeah. And speaking of, the chicken with the eggs, people are also being misled with the marketing of cage-free and range-free eggs versus pasture eggs. The difference is with pasture eggs, the hens forage for their own food. They're outside, they eat the bugs, the worms, the grass. With the range-free or cage-free, it means they're allowed to go outside, but they're not. And also they're fed special grain, or they're grain-fed, and that grain is soy and corn.
Yeah, I mean, everybody's got an angle, it's sort of like you can't just take your cow off the pasture. You got to have them finished. And, what does finish mean? It means it goes from healthy to really bad for you.
Yeah. So I advocate eating, whole foods as much as possible, organic, apples and pears and strawberries for berries and blueberries, blackberries. There's so many things. The other thing is a lot of people think orange juice is healthy for you. It's one of the worst things you can drink because of the sugar in there. It takes 4 to 8 medium oranges to make a glass of orange juice. So I asked people, would you eat 4 to 8 medium oranges at one sitting? And most people would say no, but that's how much sugar you're actually consuming at one time.
Yeah, wow, just true. I
You're
mean,
better off eating the orange.
it's kind of like, really, you've got to learn this stuff because your life depends on it. It really and truly does.
Yeah. The other thing is in the 1990s, the average grocery store had about 15,000 products on its shelf. Today, it's over 50,000, 50. Now, I don't know about you, Mary. I haven't heard that many new fruits, vegetables, beans, nuts being discovered in that time period. And what it is, it's all the manufactured foods, which means it's made by a person in a white coat in a laboratory.
Oh, that's encouraging. Yeah, yeah. I just really want those lab rats coming over and giving me my food. Yep. I
Yeah.
definitely think that's good.
The other thing is people don't realize our food is being scientifically engineered to make it addicting. It's called the bliss point, and it was a term coined by Howard Moskowitz, who has been in the food industry for over 30 years. And he learned how to scientifically engineer the food to optimize our cravings for fat, salt, sugar, and texture. And so when you have all that, it becomes addicting. And people don't realize Oreo cookies are now more addicting than cocaine.
Well, and they've said for a long time that sugar is more addictive than cocaine. And in fact, if it were discovered today, it'd be a type 3 drug because it's so addictive and it's so bad for you.
Exactly. And fruit producers are now using high fructose corn syrup and using other names for it, which is more addicting than the sugar.
Yeah, I've got a cute little thing because I was into the Defy Aging, well, still personally into Defy Aging, but I'm not trying to promote that anymore. But, and it came from the Mayo Clinic, I think. And it was, one of these cluster things for all the different words that really mean sugar. And it went on and on, those word clouds that you can get. And just, oh my God, it was like, oh, wow.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I said read the labels, because you got to be careful what's in there.
Well, and you have to know what those words mean. I mean, that's the really scary thing. People, tell me, oh, well, it's only such and such. I'm going, that's pure sugar. What? Yep, that's pure sugar.
Yeah, exactly. So one of the things I use for sweetener is the ground Ceylon cinnamon. And so people can do that in their coffee instead of sugar as a sweetener. And I also throw it in my oatmeal when I make, the whole rolled oats and steel cut oatmeal. And I throw in some chopped walnuts in there and little things. So there's a lot of things you can do to make your food taste better or, more appealing to you. And everybody's different. So not one size fits all. You have to figure out what you like and what you don't like. If you like it and it's healthy for you, eat it. If you don't like it, don't eat it. Even if it's healthy for you, you don't like it, don't eat it, because you won't stick with it.
Yeah, well, my husband happens to love rolled oats, and so he has it for breakfast. And I add blueberries, if I have cranberries, which aren't always as easy to get, but blueberries and blackberries, and what's ever fresh in season, and that's it. There's no sugar. There's nothing else going in there. Oh, and some coconut oil. So
yeah, that's great. The other thing, people don't get enough sleep, and to lose 1 pound, you need to reduce your caloric intake by 500 calories per day for an entire week. And if you're sleep deprived, they found that people will consume an extra 500 calories the next day. So we're going the opposite direction. The other thing is when we're sleep deprived, it doesn't give our bodies enough chance to, process the food properly.
Yeah, and it's hard to get enough sleep. I mean, I had a medical doctor tell me, actually a heart and brain specialist say, your body's just stopped producing melatonin and you don't get enough. So it's very hard as you age to sleep. You need to supplement with melatonin. So both Bob and I, my husband, take 10 milligrams of melatonin every night. And then I've added ashwagandha to help keep me asleep. So, it takes being aware that things are out there and can help you, but you have to be aware of it too.
Exactly. The other thing is people don't give their bodies enough time to rest in between eating. So I talk a little bit about intermittent fasting in the books, and there's different variations of intermittent fasting. If you ask one expert, they'll say you need to go 12 hours. Some will say 16 hours. That's different than time restricted eating, which is a 4-period hour during the whole day. Most people can do an intermittent fast without realizing it. For example, if you stop eating 3 hours before you go to bed and you go to bed at 10 o'clock at night, stop eating at 7 o'clock and have your first meal, which is breakfast. And that means to break the fast at 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. That's, 12, 13, 14 hours where your body's not eating food. And what I do first thing when I get up in the morning is to have a 20-ounce glass of water. And that keeps you hydrated. And also it fills you up so you're not hungry right away. So it's a little tip people can do is to drink more water first thing when you get up. And then the reason I say give your body a chance to digest and process the food is a lot of people snack a lot after their meals, after dinner and before they go to bed. Some people even eat late at night. And what happens is 2 examples I use, 2 analogies. One is think of your stomach as like a sink. And if you keep putting dirty dishes in without cleaning it, suddenly it's going to be overflowing. You're going to have debris and a lot of other unpleasant things. Or if you think of your stomach like a lawnmower and you don't clean the undercarriage from the wet grass, well, now the blade's going to be working harder and harder. Well, that's what's happening to the organs in your body. If you don't give the body a chance to clean itself, your organs are working harder and harder. And that's, causing us to age faster and have more degenerative diseases.
Yeah, I mean, there's just, we don't need nearly as much food as we think we do. And what I'm hearing from you, and I'm certainly adding it, is I'm going to add at least 2 more glasses, one before every meal, one after every meal, just to kind of get more things moving through. And secondly, to give you that satiated feeling, because I try to eat normal. Well, I put it on a tiny saucer so that that's my meal. That there, because I know if I give myself a plate, I tend to fill it. But so I give myself a saucer, and but even then, I'm sure that having water before and water after will make me even more satiated, and that's a big deal.
Exactly. And the other thing is to be more physically active. So exercise is very important for overall health and fitness. However, it's a myth that you need to exercise to lose weight. One of the things I advocate is to walk at least 30 to 40 minutes or longer each day. Rebel Wilson lost 77 pounds because she was walking an hour a day, and she lost the weight over a year period of time. And that's the other thing is we see the national brands advertise lose 20, 30, 40 pounds or, guaranteed the first month. You'll lose the weight. You just won't be able to keep it off. And 90% of people who lose weight on a diet regain it all within a year. Some even gain more weight. The walking is great. It doesn't have to be strenuous or uphill, or just a moderate walk. Another actress was talking about how she started walking during her break. She would have 10-minute breaks. Instead of doing social media and texting people, she just walked for 10 minutes and she would get, 4 or 5 breaks and she'd have a walk in for 40 or 50 minutes. So you don't have to do it all at one time. It's just, break it up throughout the day. A lot of us are too sedentary now.
That's a great tip, because sitting here, in a chair for that period of time isn't healthy for anybody. So if I can break it up, I will start doing that, even if what I tend to do, I live in a 2-story home, so I'll run up and down the stairs a couple of times.
No, it's great. And the other thing is, with the exercise, it's a myth for losing weight. Biggest loser contestants, 66% of them regained all their weight. Most of them gained most of the weight back. The other thing is we all make New Year's resolutions to lose weight and get, in better shape. And what happens, after 3 or 4 weeks, we're going to the gym regularly, we're eating better, the scale's not moving. And I had a client that happened to be following, what I was advocating for him. And after 3 weeks, he says, I'm doing everything you're telling me. I'm eating healthier, drinking more water. The scale's not moving. And I asked him finally, I said, Dave, because his name is David also, said, are you exercising? He goes, yeah, I'm walking 5 miles and I'm riding my bike. And so how do your clothes fit? And he goes, oh, they're loose. And people are asking me if I'm losing weight. However, the scale doesn't show it. I said, don't go by the scale. Go by how your clothes are feeling. The reason being, he was replacing the fat with muscle, and 5 pounds of muscle weighs the exact same amount as 5 pounds of fat. The difference being the muscle takes up less room. So as we're converting our fat to muscle, the scale won't indicate it, but our clothes will. And that's where people get frustrated and say, well, I'm doing everything, it's not working. They stop. And the main thing is to be consistent and do it for a long period of time. So usually what I ask people is like, would you like to weigh 24 to 48 pounds lighter by this time next year? And most people, well, yeah. Okay, so can you lose 2, 3, 4 pounds per month? Not a week, per month. And most people say, yeah, that's doable. Okay, well, if you do lose 2, 3, 4 pounds per month on average for 12 months, because there's going to be a couple months where you'll lose more, some you won't lose any because your body's at a weight loss plateau. But for 12 consecutive months, you'll be down 24 to 48 pounds.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. And you'll start to feel so much better because you'll be eating so much healthier.
Exactly. You'll have better mental clarity. You won't have the brain fog. You'll have more energy. You'll feel better. You'll improve your overall health. So there's a lot of benefits to eating healthier and changing your lifestyle. So what I tell people is if you want to lose weight, don't go on a diet, change your diet. And there's a difference. Most weight loss and diets, I refer to them as a sprint. And most sprints have a finish line. So when people reach their finish line, they're done. Well, when you reach your weight loss goal on a diet, you feel you're done, you start reverting back to your old eating habits. And that's where the weight starts creeping back up on you. If you think of losing weight as a marathon and a lifestyle change, it's a marathon without a finish line. You just keep going and going like the Energizer Bunny Rabbit.
Well, if you think of your diet as just, okay, this is what I put into my mouth on a daily basis, period, and not as something that's temporary, then the whole thing switches because really, that's really your diet is what you put in your mouth. And it shouldn't be temporary because choose healthy food, choose healthy water, it's got to be kind of like, okay, I'm not doing this for a day or for a week or for a month. It's for life because I can't continue to live life long and healthy if I don't.
Well, exactly. The other thing is a lot of our foods and edible products that they're pushing on us, they're toxic, they're poisonous. However, they're very minute toxics and poisons. So you don't notice it right away. However, after 15, 20, 30 years, it starts accumulating in the body. And that's why so many people have degenerative, illnesses as we get older. If you're over age 50, there's a 80% probability you're a type 2 diabetic or pre-diabetic. And if you're a pre-diabetic, what that means is if you don't change your eating habits and lifestyle, you'll be a full diabetic within 7 years. And type 2 diabetes is not only preventable, it's reversible. So you can start doing changes and do it gradually, do it, slowly. Don't do anything very extreme. Just change one little habit, and then build on that. So for example, to start drinking more water. Charles Duhigg wrote a book called The Power of Habit. And in there, he talks about what he calls a keystone habit. And a keystone habit is one habit that will have a ripple effect. and it affects everything else. So if you start drinking more water, you'll feel better. All of a sudden, you're eating slower, you're eating less, you're sleeping better. And before you know it, you'll start seeing noticeable changes if you give it enough time and if you do it consistently.
Amazingly valuable information. So sadly, our interview is coming to an end. So how, David, can people get hold of your book, and what is it called?
It's called Break the Chains of Dieting. And it's actually won 8 awards so far, including honorable mention at the London Book Festival and finalist for the Eric Hoffer Awards. And it's available on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. You can go to your library, they can order it, so you don't even have to pay for it. Your independent bookstores can have it if they don't already have it. And also they can go to my website at antidietadvocate.com.
And that's ANTIADVOCATE.com. Oh, anti-diet, D-I-E-T, advocate. Yeah, sorry, I missed a word in there. ANTI, diet, D-I-E-T, advocate, ADVOCATE.
.com. Yeah, correct.
Sounds good to me. Anyway, thank you so much. And hopefully people will at least start drinking more water, because I loved that kind of foundational habit that you can change instantly and it'll start doing everything good for you. Sort of like everything bad, keep you eating sugar. Everything good, stop eating sugar, start drinking more water.
Exactly. And avoid processed and highly manufactured foods, or manufactured and highly processed foods whenever possible. So, and thank you, Mary, for having me as a guest. I really do appreciate it.
Oh, it was great. Thanks so much.